There comes a point in life when the mirror stops lying. You look at your reflection and see not a person, but a collection of fears, routines, and unfinished intentions. You sense the dull ache of wasted potential, that silent corrosion that happens when the body moves, but the soul no longer believes in movement. This is not depression. This is awakening. The painful awareness that the self you've been defending is the very cage that keeps you from living. The modern world has taught us to confuse comfort with peace. We seek dopamine instead of meaning, validation instead of truth. Our days dissolve into digital noise, and our minds rot in the illusion of constant stimulation. But comfort is the most seductive prison ever built. It promises safety, but it quietly drains your vitality, your hunger, your soul's fire. True life begins the moment you stop protecting your old self and start dismantling it. The first stage of transformation is destruction, not external, but internal. You must face the parts of you that you've been hiding behind distractions, the laziness that you rationalized as rest, the fear that disguised itself as patience, the anger that became apathy. Each fragment of the old self survives because you keep feeding it attention and excuses. The brain, loyal to its own wiring, protects familiar patterns even when they destroy you. It values predictability over freedom. This is not weakness. This is neurobiology. Every thought, every reaction, every identity pattern you hold is built through repetition. Neurons that fire together wire together. This means that every time you surrender to fear, you reinforce the neural pathway of avoidance. Every time you procrastinate, you strengthen the circuit of escape. The old self isn't a ghost. It's a physical architecture inside your brain, sculpted by repetition and emotion. To kill it, you must stop feeding it electricity. You must stop rehearsing your own limitations. Pain will be the first sign that the old self is dying. When you resist comfort, the brain interprets it as danger. The amygdala fires, cortisol rises, every cell screams to return to safety. But this pain is sacred. It is not punishment, it's purification. Just as muscles tear before they grow, your identity must fracture before it expands. When you feel that inner chaos, the resistance, the fear, the emptiness, understand that you're witnessing the rewiring process in real time. You are burning through outdated neural pathways, replacing them with new ones built from will, focus, and clarity. To rebuild yourself, you must embrace deliberate discomfort. Every day, do something that opposes your instincts. Wake up earlier, focus longer, speak your truth when silence feels safer. These small acts of defiance reprogram your brain's reward system. Dopamine, once enslaved to comfort, begins to serve growth. This is how warriors, artists, and builders are born. They train their chemistry to associate pain with progress. Over time, what once terrified you becomes addictive. The mind starts to crave resistance because it signals expansion. Philosophically, this is the essence of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius didn't preach emotionless detachment. He practiced neurological mastery. He understood that you cannot control what happens, but you can control the meaning your mind assigns to it. When the world burns, the Stoic watches his reactions instead of the flames. He knows that freedom begins not when circumstances change, but when interpretation does. The same truth is echoed in neuroscience. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of conscious decision, must learn to dominate the limbic system, the engine of emotional impulse. In other words, wisdom must tame instinct. But let's not romanticize transformation. The process is brutal. You will lose people, desires, and identities that once defined you. The brain will fight back, whispering, "Go back to who you were. It was easier." You'll be tempted to believe it. But understand this: ease is the language of decay. Every great transformation demands friction. Without it, nothing is reborn. Not stars, not empires, not souls. To transcend, you must develop what I call neural stoicism, the ability to remain calm inside cognitive chaos. When anxiety hits, don't run. Observe. When the mind screams, "I can't," reply, "Then let's see what happens when I do." By refusing to obey your primitive circuitry, you weaken its control. Every moment of awareness carves new neural connections, proof that consciousness itself is a sculptor. Meditation, reflection, silence. These are not spiritual luxuries. They are neurological recalibrations. You're literally teaching your brain to pause before reacting, to think before obeying emotion. And then there's the void, that terrifying space between who you were and who you are becoming. The old habits are gone, but the new self hasn't yet stabilized. You feel empty, disconnected, uncertain. Most people run from this phase, but the void is not the end. It's the womb. It's the place where your new identity gestates in darkness before it emerges into light. Stay there. Endure the silence. It's in that emptiness that the architecture of your new self is being drawn. Neurobiologically, this is where neuroplasticity peaks. The brain, stripped of its old reference points, becomes highly malleable. Every thought, every behavior, every emotional response becomes a building block for your new identity. But this phase demands consistency. The brain doesn't change through intensity. It changes through repetition. Daily effort, even when invisible, compounds into irreversible transformation. The process is not glamorous. It's boring, repetitive, and often lonely. But beneath that monotony, your neurons are rearranging themselves into a new pattern of being. You must also redefine success. True success isn't about dominance or status. It's about internal sovereignty, the ability to remain unshaken by chaos, unmanipulated by pleasure, and unbroken by pain. You reach a point where nothing external can truly enslave you because your internal world has become untouchable. This is not arrogance. This is freedom. The Stoics called it apatheia, a state beyond emotional slavery. Modern neuroscience calls it emotional regulation, the balance between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. Both describe the same thing, mastery over the self. And yet mastery isn't the absence of weakness, it's the awareness of it. Even as you evolve, the old self will sometimes rise again, whispering doubts, seeking validation, craving ease. Don't fight it with hate. Observe it with understanding. Every shadow inside you once had a survival purpose. It protected you when you didn't know better. Forgive it, but don't serve it. Integration, not denial, completes transformation. Eventually, something shifts. You wake up one day and the inner war feels different. The pain hasn't vanished, but it no longer controls you. You move through life with quiet precision, not chasing motivation, but fueled by purpose. Your actions align with your thoughts with your values. Discipline no longer feels like punishment. It feels like clarity. You've stopped seeking happiness and started generating it from alignment. That is the birth of consciousness. The rebirth protocol is not a philosophy. It's a biological revolution. It's the rewiring of mind and matter through awareness and repetition. To begin it, you don't need inspiration. You need honesty. Look at your habits, your fears, your patterns, and strip away the lies that protect them. Then act. Small, daily, brutal acts of will. Over time, you'll notice something profound. The self you once tried to escape has evolved into someone you trust. You will still feel pain, but it will no longer mean weakness. You will still fail, but failure will no longer mean death. You will walk through chaos, not as a victim, but as a force of nature. And one day you will look at your reflection and realize you no longer see a collection of fears. You see the architect of his own mind, a being reborn not through luck, but through fire. Remember this: greater than the old self doesn't die peacefully. It burns, screams, and resists until the last neural connection fades. But if you have the courage to endure that fire, you'll discover that what remains is not destruction, it's truth, and truth is indestructible.